Insurance professionals work hard every day to keep people safe, but as technology transforms the industry, how can insurers protect not only their clients, but also shield themselves from ever-changing cyber risks? My name's Elizabeth Blossfield, and I'm the host of the Insuring Cyber podcast, a monthly look into how the world of cyber and the business of insurance are connected. This episode is brought to you by RPS. RPS helps brokers drive client success in the E&S space. See how RPS delivers tailored, data-driven insurance, benefits, and underwriting solutions at rpsins.com. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Insuring Cyber podcast. Our guest for this episode is Brent Rieth, global cyber leader within Aon's commercial risk solutions. He spoke with me about how the expiration of CISA could affect insurers' ability to assess cyber exposure, what ripple effects businesses might see from this, and how both sides can adapt through collaboration and smarter risk management. Check it out. Hi, Brent. It's great to be speaking with you today. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. I think it's an important and timely one. And before we get into some of the questions, I was just curious if you could start off with a brief overview of, who you are and the work that you do at Aon.
Sure. So my role at Aon is I look after our cyber solutions resources across the firm. I'm based in Chicago, but work closely with teams that we have all over the world. And really the function that the team serves for clients, and as part of the insurance industry, is we help clients as they navigate cyber, which once again, they've ranked, according to our most recent survey, the top risk for most businesses. And we help them understand their risks. We help them understand what the impact of these risks could be. And then, of course, work as a conduit into the insurance industry. So as we think about different solutions that are available to our clients as they look to tackle cyber issues, we're here to help them along the way. And then as we think about our ability to serve as a voice for clients in the insurance industry, we obviously advise the insurance marketplace around what's impactful to customers and what they should be thinking about as they continue to bolster the value that they offer within their products, and certainly help them think about how they can grow as a greater factor in helping clients address such a difficult, challenging problem.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you so much for that background. And I'm glad that you're here because I know that you have a lot of expertise in this topic, and I think your insights will be really valuable. So I guess just to start off, we scheduled this interview prior to the government shutdowns, and things have changed since then. I know that the Cyber Information Security Act, CISA, has not been renewed. So I'm wondering if you could just kind of start off talking about, I guess, previously how U.S. companies and insurers used CISA data to analyze threats and build resilience, and how some of that might change or look differently going forward.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think as a backdrop, we're kind of the opinion that information sharing is valuable to all of the parties that participate in the defender mindset. So whether it's companies that we're supporting, that we're working with, who are tackling cyber risk, or working with the insurance industry, the underwriting community, as they evaluate emerging threat actor activity, different ways in which attack patterns are being successful, and companies are falling victim to cyber events. We've seen value in the ability for information to be shared. And I think companies have benefited from the act, and certainly see it as a way for current events, current trends, current activity to be leveraged so that they can manage their own businesses, their strategies as effectively as possible. But then on the insurance company side, working with the underwriting community as they look at questions that they should be asking when evaluating risks, or ways in which they can help their policyholders, their insureds, on a proactive basis by sharing information so that those companies are getting access to insights and information that they have access to. It's been helpful to have, particularly this platform for all of those different parties to work together and to use this information as effectively as possible.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious now with this new development, how could that impact insurers' ability to understand cyber exposure and sort of price this risk accurately in the future?
Yeah, so it's one less source of information that they're getting access to. So they're going to need to think differently about how they can supplement whatever their information strategy is, how they get access to threat actor activity, real time, and not having this source available to them, I think poses a challenge and really puts an emphasis on developing some different strategies that they might be able to rely on. Certainly would suggest that they should be proactive, supporting having similar, platforms as what we've had in the past with CISA 2015 to be available so that this information is being shared. How does it impact their ability to execute, to underwrite, to ask the right questions? How does it impact the product category in and of itself within the insurance industry? I think there was always this great ability to leverage some of this information real time to make sure that they were advising clients around trends that they were seeing, ask questions real time. So as emerging threat actor tactics are being used, making sure that there were proper controls in place, best practices to protect businesses against current activity, current threat actor tactics. Obviously, that gets diminished a little bit as this information becomes less and less available. And with that, there might be scenarios where there were either events that insureds could have avoided had they had access to this information. Those events can develop into claims against the insurance policies that are sold by the insurance carriers supporting the product category. And ultimately, that could be a knock-on effect that would be detrimental to the product's ability to be offered on a profitable basis and in a way that is sustainable over time. So, I think we're a long way away from kind of the worst case scenario, but what could happen when this information is not available? I think the insurance industry could struggle because they really have one less source of information than they did before in terms of having access to some of the insights that they benefited from, through working with the various government agencies that had supported this in the past.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you sort of touched on my next question in your last answer already, but I was going to ask you how this could impact insurance coverage going forward. And I know you've said that, we're not at the worst case scenario yet, but do you think that this will push carriers to sort of shift terms or narrow coverages at all, or how might that change?
Short term, I don't expect any dramatic changes. There's a whole host of other elements to how the coverage is afforded and how it works, and certainly how the insurance carriers have to think about the profitability of the product. And I would also add, just from a claims perspective, claims develop over time, and in some instances that can take quite some time. So it's not as though there's an immediate cause and effect in terms of losses developing quickly and the product becoming unsustainable. Longer term, I think while, it's beneficial to have this type of access to information and carriers can make more informed decisions with this information, they're going to be challenged to find other methods to get access to some of the real-time root cause analysis type of data or different elements that they were leveraging as they evaluated their underwriting protocol. And so I don't expect any dramatic changes right away. Could I see, this putting stress on the insurance carriers, causing them to have to think about alternative methods to get some of the data that they were benefiting from historically? I could see that. And it's why, again, I think they should be thinking about some of those alternative strategies, and also thinking about ways in which they could promote the ability to have platforms like what we've had in the past going forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we'll come back to it in a minute because I'm curious your perspective on what carriers can sort of do going forward. But I'm also curious on the insured side of it. You touched on this a little bit in some of your earlier answers, but what are some of the ripple effects of this for U.S. businesses, and what sectors might be impacted the most?
Yeah, so the ripple effects are interesting because I think there's an immediate aspect of, if this information was being used correctly by companies that were participating, leveraging, these insights to protect against emerging, threats, different activity that other industry sectors were experiencing, or even their peers, businesses that look and feel like them that could be impacted in a very similar way from common cyber events, they now, similar to the insurance carriers and the discussion we've been having, they too could be challenged by not having access to some of this information. I think it promotes a lot of dependency on industry-oriented information sharing. So, working with some of the industry peer groups that a lot of companies, participate in to try and leverage information that's being shared. It also puts pressure on them because they in those environments, it is a bit more challenging to have the same level of transparency that they might have when working with a government agency that's been tasked with gathering these insights, these different scenarios, and helping to leverage those insights to advise the broader community around attack patterns or different activity that they're seeing around the country. And so, it's interesting because I think this element of transparency and visibility that felt very safe within CISA 2015, if that's not there as a platform for companies to feel compelled to share information that could be helpful for others, and it becomes truly incumbent on them to share that information directly with other organizations through industry groups or associations or other relationships that they've forged. It's a little bit more of a challenge to think about how to get that information out there while feeling as though you've got a bit of a safe haven to do it, that being the platform that we've had in the past for this.
Right. Yeah. And I'm curious if CISA were to be renewed in the future, or perhaps a similar information sharing platform were to emerge. I know that there have been some concerns, some criticism on the other end about over-reliance on government or privacy concerns. And I'm curious what you would say to some of that pushback, or how you see that playing into the debate about whether we should have something like CISA in the first place.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think about this maybe in the purest sense. Cyber security is naturally a defensive strategy. You're constantly reacting to ways in which bad actors are attacking businesses. And I think when you kind of step aside from the political aspect of things and think in the purest sense, how do we defend against common activity that's impacting businesses, having an impact on the economy and on consumers that are sharing sensitive information with businesses around the United States? I think we're actually all aligned. It helps everybody to have access to more information, and how we do that, what government agency is tasked with that responsibility. I don't know that it should be that challenging for us to really all align on. It's better for this information to be shared. It's better for this information to be available to companies. It's just a matter of thinking about what the vehicle should be for that type of activity, and for that type of information to be passed on to the folks, the security practitioners that are helping defend businesses, helping defend consumers ultimately when we think about the information that they have the responsibility of protecting from some of this bad actor activity that companies fall victim to through cyber attacks. So, kind of taking the politics out of it for a second, I think just taking a defender mindset and thinking about how we can help various practitioners be more effective in their roles and their responsibilities that they have within, companies around the country, and as people that are protecting a lot of our personal information. I'm certainly a proponent of making sure that we come up with a solution so that we have the ability for those practitioners to be as effective as possible.
Yeah. And there's a lot of personal information being shared, with so much reliance on technology, and that will continue to evolve. So it makes sense, the point that you said earlier, that transparency is key in these processes. And I just want to get back to something you said earlier as well, because you mentioned that carriers may need to find some alternative methods for information sharing and understanding the risks. So what's your advice for carriers about what they should be doing now to sort of prepare to make those adjustments, or how should they be thinking about their approach to cyber risk?
Yeah. Well, I think it's good risk management at the end of the day. So, not being entirely dependent on single sources of information, and making sure that you've got, redundancy around how you're gathering information from various organizations is helpful for the insurance carriers. I certainly think there is an opportunity for all of us to be sharing information with one another. We're frankly all aligned on one mission, which is helping companies, insureds, policyholders, however you want to categorize them, but helping them be armed with information that could be valuable as they look to protect their businesses. Being successful in that endeavor allows insurers, insurance carriers, to manage their portfolios a little more effectively. So good risk profiles, good insureds that have healthy cybersecurity hygiene going into the underwriting process, that allows the insurance companies to have a healthy product that performs well over time. It's helpful for all of us to be sharing information back and forth. And as they think about not having access to information they might have otherwise been getting through CISA 2015 and thinking about what they need to do going forward, they may need to find other ways to kind of complement the information they're using to advise their customers, ultimately insureds, but also to think about how they underwrite and offer cyber insurance to businesses across the country.
Yeah, and that's an important perspective for insurers to consider. And this has been a fascinating discussion. I've learned so much, and I think it's an important and timely topic, like I said. So, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Great. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks to Brent for taking the time to speak with me, and thanks to all of you for listening. You can check out previous episodes of the Insuring Cyber podcast on insurancejournal.tv or wherever you get your podcasts. Stay tuned for our final episode of the year next month. Talk to you next time.